Dear brothers and sisters, and as we gather in all different parts of the world, just about 46 years ago, Sant Rajinder Singh Maharaj, who spent many years helping people all around the globe to know themselves, to be one with God, physically left this world. His life was a life in which he wanted peace and joy in the whole world. He wanted people to experience unity. And so, when we look at his life, all of his teachings were based on finding the unity of our true self with God and the unity between each and every one of us. And to get to the state of finding the unity, we had to be calm, we had to be peaceful. And so as we look at his life, we find that all of his life was devoted to being able to help everyone else in this world, so that the very purpose for which we all come to this world could be fulfilled. Early on in life, he realized the oneness that we all have. As scientists and as doctors, people who did surgery or who had to open the body up, they realized that irrespective of whatever the color of the skin of a person was, irrespective of whatever faith they belonged to, irrespective of whatever countries they came from, or whatever the social statuses were, that when they opened them up, that the blood which was flowing through the veins and their arteries was of the same color. They realized that the heart was of the same color and the brain was of the same color. Everything on the inside was one and the same. It was only on the outside that things seemed to be different. And just a few years ago, when the genome project has been finalized, scientists and researchers are telling us that more than 99% or 99.9%, depending on whose research you look at, of everyone is one and the same. And the small difference that we have is just in the color of skin, our features, the way we look, how tall we are, what is our weight. But on the inside, we are all one and the same. And unfortunately, we all live on the periphery and we don't dig deep in. So Sant Rajinder Singh Maharaj, who dug deep into finding the unity, into finding peace, realized that on the inside we were all one and the same. And as he realized that the oneness that we all have is through our soul, which gives us life, which is a part of God, which is not made of matter, which is made of spirit, then he wanted everyone else in the world to realize that too. And so through his satsangs and through his world tours and through his writing of the books, he made millions and millions of people be aware of who they really were. Know thyself was what he would teach us. He would say that we should first find out who are we? Where did we come from? What is the purpose of us being here? What are we supposed to do? And as we will dig into these questions, that the answers will open up for us. And so when we look at his life, from early on, he realized that he had come to love everyone, that everyone was one and the same to him. There's an incident from his life when his father told him one day that, Kripal, these are our friends, so they will be your friends, and these are our enemies, so they are our enemies. And so Sant Singh Ji Maharaj at a young age very beautifully let his father know that all his friends are his friends, but all his enemies are his friends too. Because he said, I have come into this world to love everyone. And the misunderstandings which keep us away from people are not that we need to focus on. We need to focus on our oneness. Ever since he was young, not only did he believe in us all being one and the same only at the human level, he realized that birds and animals and fish are also part of this great family of the Creator. And so when his father one day told him that he should be eating meat because his father realized that he was only eating vegetables when the other members of his family were eating meat. Then Sant Singh Ji Maharaj beautifully answered that, do you want my body to be a graveyard? In all his life, he would ask people to be vegetarians so that no damage would come to someone else, no difficulty would come into someone else's life, and whether they were animals or birds or fish, that they were also a part of the great family of the Creator. He always instilled in everyone to look for equality, to realize that nature has given us tremendous facilities and we need to make them well. In his ashram and in the house that was built in Manav Kendra, he built the house around the trees so that the tree would not be cut to put a residence there. He wanted us to realize that God has created, and it is not for the human being to be destructive, to be in a state where we defile what the Creator has given us. And so when we look at his life, we find examples after examples of how he was helping everyone. You know, nowadays we are going through this big virus which is all around the globe, but 100 years ago there was another virus, whether it was called a plague or the Spanish flu or different names were given to it. And people were dying left and right. And people thought it was so contagious that many people would not even take care of their family members to take care of their final rites and rituals. But Sant Singh Ji Maharaj took a group of people so that they could go and help be able to fulfill the last rites of people who pass away. And through his life, it was always a hand of love that would be going out to everyone else so that their lives would get better. He would believe in these 6 words: be good, do good, be one. And that's what he taught all of us. He wanted us to be good. He wanted us to be a good human being. He wanted us to be a human being who would think good things, who would say good things, who would do good deeds. That being good was very important. Being ethical was very important. To have all the ethical virtues in our life was very important, because he would talk about an ethical life being a stepping stone to spirituality. That if we want to fulfill the spiritual purpose for which we've come into this world, which is to have a soul merge in God, then we need to be ethical. That's the foundation that we need. And so we need to be good. We need to do good deeds. We need to be helpful. We need to be caring. We need to be sharing with others whatever resources the Creator has provided to us, so that there's help going out to everyone else who maybe are not in a position to lead their life in the best possible manners. And then he said, be one. experience of oneness with God. Realize that in reality you are not the body, you are not the mind, you are not your intellect. But in the true sense, your soul. That soul will give life to the body. That soul which, as long as it's in the human body is alive. And when the soul leaves the body for good, never to come back in that body, we say this person has physically died. Because that body then can neither see, neither can they talk, neither can they walk, neither can they do anything. And so he will say that this life is given to be able to enhance the capabilities of the soul. This life has been given to fulfill the purpose of the soul being in this human body. And instead of leading our lives in which we are only taking care of the physical body, a life in which we are only looking for gains for the physical body, let us focus on getting the gains for the spirit and the soul. And he would tell us that when we led our life in a manner in which we would care about someone else, that the rewards would be tremendous. And he went so far as to say that the rewards of selfless service are similar to the rewards of meditation. And meditation is the means of going within. Meditation is a means of experiencing our soul. Meditation is a means of experiencing that our soul is full of the love and light of God. That there's radiance within ourselves. That there's light within ourselves. That there's no darkness in life. But that experience we can only happen when our attention goes away from the world outside and is focused within ourselves. He wanted everyone to look at everyone else as being one and the same. He would exemplify through his life how he was giving, and he believed in like give, give and give. Give of ourselves so that others can be helped. There's a very interesting example coming from the past which shows how one should be leading their lives and how many times we misjudge people because we only look at the outer signs and are unable to look at the deepness of their existence. So there was a village in which there was a rich person. He made a lot of money and everyone knew he was very rich. But he was named the miser. Because when someone came to him for help, he always said no. He never tried to help them. And as this happened, everyone in that village knew that he was a miser, and so they gave him the name the miser. One day, a beggar from another village came into the village, and he found that there's a rich person. He goes to his place and he's asking for some help. And the miser said, no, I can't help you, please go away. And so the person then is going in town, in that village, and then he's asking others where he can get help. So someone told him, there's an average person who's like in the workforce and he works and he's an average life, but he's very helpful to everyone. So why don't you go to him? And so he went to that person and that person helped him. And he was very happy. And people realized that this other person who had an average job was very, very helpful to everyone. So anyone who came to him, he would open up his heart, he would help them physically, he would help them monetarily, he would help them mentally, he was always there to help them. And so whenever there was any difficulty that came to anyone in that village, they would go to him and he would help them financially or in whatever way they needed. And so this kept on going on. In a few years, the person who was called the miser passed away. And so when he passed away, no one wanted to do his last rites. but the Central Council decided we have to do the last rites. So he was to be buried. So they took him and buried him in the most remote places at the burial place, because they thought no one's going to visit him, and then with time no one went to visit him because he was not popular, he never helped anyone. And then as a few months went by, they realized that when someone would go to this person who was the average working person, that he stopped to help people like he used to. And so the council got together and they sent someone to this person to find out why he's not helping anyone. And so the person goes there, but he comes back. He said, no, that person said, no, I just don't have the means anymore. So the head of the council thought, that something must be there. This person was helping for so many years, and he stopped helping. So the head of that council went to the working person and he asked him, you've been helping for so many years, so what really has happened now all of a sudden that you stopped helping? And the working person told him that the person who we all call the miser was one who had me take an oath that till he was dead I was never to tell anyone the following. And he said every month he would come and he would give me a large amount of money, and he would say that he should distribute it to the needy, whosoever comes for help. And he says, so all these years I have been distributing the money that he's been giving me. I've been helping others from what help I got from him. And he says, now that money is not coming anymore, and I don't have the means to help anyone. And it is then that the people of the village realize that who they thought was the miser was the kindest of them all. So Sant Kripal Singh Ji Maharaj would often say, he would say, if this hand is helping, that this hand should not even know that help is going on. Why? Because it's very easy to have our ego go out of control. It's very easy to think, oh, I'm helping this person, I'm helping that person, I'm helping that person. And this is how our ego gets the best of us. When we go on the spiritual path, what is very important is that we be able to control our ego. What is very important is to realize that ego is at the base of our anger, of our lust, of our greed, and of our attachment. Because we want things for ourselves, we think we are better than everyone else, and so everything we want because of our ego. And so if we can control our ego, and if we realize that all that we have is because of the Creator, and if we realize that this life is a short period in our existence, we've been living for eons and eons and eons. Our soul has been separated from the Creator for eons and eons, and now we have an opportunity to be one with God. That we need to make the best use of this grand opportunity that God has given us. And those lucky souls who realize that are the ones who are going to fulfill the very purpose for which we come into this world. Otherwise life will go on. You might have 50 years, 60 years, 70 years, 80 years, 90 years or 100 years to live. And then we'll physically die. So what have we done in that time frame? Have we done something for our soul? Or all our life was only spent in doing things for the physical body? Whether it be the physical body, whether it be our relationships, whether we think this is what is important to us in the world outside. If all of our attention goes in that arena, and we've not spent any time or made any effort for the soul to be nourished, for the soul to realize who it is, for the soul to go on the spiritual journey, for the soul to shed layers and layers of mind, matter and illusion which are shrouding it, then we haven't done anything. We haven't gained anything. We are not taking steps in the right direction. So saints and mystics, whenever they come into this world, they exhort us to know ourselves. And this is what Sant Rajinder Singh Maharaj did all through his life. He wanted us to realize that we are soul. He wanted us to know that God is not far away. He wanted us to be with God. And he would say that what one man can do, so can another. That God is equally available to each and every one of us. It's a question of where our attention is. It's a question of the passion that we have to get to our goals. It's a question of how much effort are we going to put into that direction. Because whatever direction we put our efforts in, those are the areas that we become successful in. So if all of our efforts go into the world, then we're never successful in the spiritual arena. So we need to devote our efforts into the spiritual arena. And Sant Rajinder Singh Maharaj would often say, if we give 10% of the daily time to our spiritual practices, then we can reach our goal. And anyone can reach their goal, irrespective of whether they live in one country or another, they believe in one faith or another, whatever their educational background is, whatever kind of clothes they wear, whatever color the skin is, those are immaterial. We are all children of God. Our soul is of the same essence of God. So we need to inward, we need to go within, we need to find God, because God is not on the outside, God is with each and every one of us, and the process of going within is called meditation. So let's just meditate for a few minutes. Please sit as comfortably as you can. Close your eyes very gently, just like you close them when you go to sleep. Your eyebrows should be straight, focus 8 or 10 inches in front of you. And as you close your eyes, those of you who have been initiated in the mysteries of the beyond, please do a Simran. And those of you who are new here, please repeat any name of God that you feel comfortable with. Sant Rajinder Singh Maharaj would often say, if you love me, keep my commandments. And his commandment was to meditate. And so as we meditate, we are able to experience the divine power within ourselves. So as we close our eyes and we repeat God's name, in the darkness in front of our light will sprout forth. It will be flashes of light, circles of light, lights of various colors. With time they will stabilize. What actually is happening is that the light of God is within each and every one of us. When we concentrate, we experience the light. When we are distracted, we experience darkness. And so with time, as our concentration improves, to us it seems like the lights have stabilized and many, many other vistas open up for us. So I pray to God Almighty and to the three great masters of the past century, Hazur Baba Sawan Singh Ji Maharaj, Param Sant Rajinder Singh Ji Maharaj, and the gracious master Sant Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj, to help each and every one of us connect with the divine power within and to experience the divine light of God within ourselves. I will be sitting for a few minutes. I'll be getting you out of this meditative state at that time, and my best wishes are with each and every one of you. प्लीज़ लिव ऑफ छोड़ दीजिए जी.